Okay? Yes. I guess I'll have to do this in English. No? So, my name is Ahmed Adel. Thank you for making the time. This will be kind of a bit interesting for me because this is a classroom setup, and when I got here, I was introduced to sure that this is a classroom. So, not what I had in mind. It's going to be interesting, so you'll see lots of stuff, but it's on the verge of being a classroom or not. So let's see what happens. You see Windows 8 before?
Yes.
Everybody? Who hasn't seen Windows 8?
The consumer preview is out, so.
So, yes. So the guys who haven't seen Windows 8 will get a prize. I have actually some Windows 8 consumer previews already downloaded here. So if you want to take a pass. And there are still some stuff here, so we'll see. So what I will do today is, I'm already over time, but I'll compensate for it from my time. As what I will do today is we'll talk a little through some slides. Then we're gonna see the phone, some aspects of the phone. It's not everybody has seen Windows Phone in action, used it.
Yes.
Used it.
A little bit.
Okay, so I'm gonna do some user scenarios, so you see how the phone works, and then we're going to get into some development. So you get to see to learn what are the tools, and then how do we do some stuff. I'll get into some different scenario. My aim today is to get into more breadth than going depth, so that you know where to go if you're developing different types of application and so on. And then we're going to talk a bit about the marketplace and maybe share some of the stuff that's been happening around the country. So rules, I'm trying so much new stuff here with gadgetry and everything. So it's guaranteed something will not work today. So let's reverse the rules. So you know when you're sitting and you're watching a demo, if something works, people usually clap and say, wow, nice and stuff like that. When things work, that is not the time where I need encouragement. I need encouragement when things don't work. So if anything doesn't work, then you clap and say, wow, not interesting and stuff. Deal? Okay. So I'll start by something entirely different, just to set the stage, which is Microsoft. How should we look at Microsoft? So how do you define a company? Is it by the sales number, or by the devices, or products or services, by the leadership or competition? It is really not an unimportant question, because if you know what motivates a company, then you will know why decisions are made, why the company is doing what they're doing. You'll definitely get the kind of I get it of where the company is moving. So let's start by some numbers. And in Microsoft, we are 90,000 people spread over more than 100 countries, territories, and sub-regions, or what have you. Definitely very diverse background of people, and lots of breadth in terms of the skills. So don't think only about developers and sales and marketing and designers and game developers. Much more broad set of skills. And our focus is not always the business. Our focus is the commitment to the community where we work. Okay, but maybe the numbers are not enough to define the company. So what really drives Microsoft? First, ever since we were small, it was always about a big goal. Having a PC in every home and in every desk, and that really drove what the thinking in the company about. So the essence of Microsoft is basically, if we get the technology and innovation in the hands of everyone, as much as we can, that will unleash so much human creativity that will get everybody benefiting at the end. Some of the world around us have changed. and we are evolving too as a company. So now we're more into how the devices connect to services through software. Some of the devices we build on our own, like Xbox, but most of the devices are built with the ecosystem. So if you look at Windows Phone, if you look at the desktop or the slates and whatever we do, most of it is built by other people. But we have our services. So I mean, you Bing, you Skype, you chat, you tweet. These are all kinds of things that we include in our platform. Another thing that may help define us is what are we doing and how we're doing it. So what we're doing, the world today is a different world than what it used to be. So if you look at it, for example, one of the things that I find intriguing is that it's normal nowadays to say that people are working from home and shopping at work and attending classes in both. So it's kind of, things are not separate anymore. The boundaries have fallen and everything should be done everywhere. And that's kind of where we're heading with our strategy. So you find that Windows is now, you have the Windows Azure on the cloud, you have Windows Phone, you have Windows on the desktop with Windows 8, reimagined Windows 8 to be on different form factors and different ways. And then you have Bing and the phone, the Office available for you anywhere. But that's not it, because also on the entertainment side, you have the Xbox with the content for communication, Skype, running businesses. Then you have Dynamics, and all around that there are the servers and tools which allows everybody to have either a cloud outside of their company or a private cloud on their premise, or a mix of both. So I'm trying to skim through the slides quickly. One thing that we focus on is how people are expecting to find all of the things I said across their scenarios, whether they are at home or at work or whatever. So one of the things we look at is the three screens. So, and how when you start from a Windows Phone in an experience, and you can move that into the desktop or the slate, and you can take that into Xbox and back. How the content or the games or the application can carry across all of these devices. We are the only company that can claim that we have this multitude of devices and the technology for users and for developers to go across it. If you notice how you use .NET here or here or here, it's the same vision and same tools and same everything. So what's next are the last couple of slides, and then we get right into it. What's next is transformation. The world is transforming and we are transforming too. So you see that in our product strategy, and you see how we're bringing the phone and how fast it's evolving. You see that in our Windows 8 and the reimagination of Windows manifested on Windows 8, and lots of the things. I mean, when you look at the natural user interface, you look at Kinect as the most vivid example of that, and how people are now getting used to using Kinect without anything. But that's not it for natural user interface. It's also on the phone, it's on the web, and it's on Bing, it's on our services as well. Inventing the future, we have the largest research organization worldwide in terms of numbers and investment and everything, and that machine is always, so what you see today is the outcome of inventions that used to happen in Microsoft Research in the last year, and that is still going, and we're looking at that. But most importantly for me, on all of these slides, is that last tile, which is a developer opportunity. With every advance we do in the platform, there is a huge opportunity for developers. So if you think about the phone with its marketplace, that's a real opportunity that opened, and I will share with you some of the examples of how people got benefit from that. If you look at Windows 8, then this is a huge opportunity that is coming our way. And of course, we are continuing on our big bold goals. So if you look at where we started, PC in every home and every desk, That was far-fetched at the time, and it is a reality now. We are continuing to make more big bold goals, and including everybody in them. And sometimes you will see us not following conventional wisdom in the decisions, but that is because we want to keep the balance of all the strategy pillars that I shared with you. So, one lesson you have to learn when you're going to a demo, bring your charger. Thank you. So I forgot my charger, and this one was ready to die on. Can I ask for your hand?
There's
Too many? So maybe you want to take out mine, because I think this one's already, so this can go away. And thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Windows 8, you have the consumer previews. I hope everybody gets a chance to see it. By the way, one of the great coolness about Windows 8 is now you can use the touch devices like this one, or you can use the mouse and keyboard. And as a developer, these are the same constructs for you. And as a user, it's a no compromise experience is what we say about it. So same operating experience. But for us, some numbers which are very important, 1.3 billion PCs running that, and then more than 500 million people who are already licensed for Windows 7. That's the kind of opportunity for developers. So when you're launching something on Windows with Windows 8 coming, that is the kind of scale and market that you're getting into. But I'm here today to talk about the phone. So let's start by looking at a very overall view. The main essence of our design for the phone is putting people first. So I'll keep that, and you will see it through the demos, and you will see it through many of the things that I do. Also, how you as developers can create applications that really plug into that experience without having the user go out of their way to use your application. There are lots of things that we'll see about that. The best of Microsoft, so Xbox, Office, Bing, Messenger, all of this is available. And then partnership with Nokia. We have Nokia here. You guys have your session after? Or
we had it yesterday.
You had it yesterday. So great partnership with Nokia. Love the device and love the devices to come. So we'll see lots of them. So what is the major difference? We have lots of phones around, lots of operating systems that are around. The major difference that we put as Microsoft is people versus icons. Okay, so in the experience for Windows Phone for a normal user, what they are getting is the same experience that they do in their normal life. So for you, for example, you're texting a friend, sending them an IM, calling them, leaving them an SMS, doing something around that person. So whenever you interact with that person, it doesn't matter which channel you're using, you're making that interaction with them. And that is what we implemented in the phone, not only in this scenario, but also in the photos, in anything, how things link together. And that's the main philosophy behind the design. As opposed to getting into an icon to get at something and then getting out, getting in again to look at something else, and so on. So I think, yes, it is time for a demo. So first thing that may not work, let's see, it may flicker on this one. So if it does, I'll switch to the other. Where did my stuff go? Yes. Yep, it's working so far. Now you know my password, so. All right, so what's, if it does that too much, I'll switch to the other laptop. Okay, this is my avatar, so. I think it's flickering too much. If it's annoying, I'll switch to the other laptop. Annoying. Yeah? Oh, okay. So let me switch them. Yes. kind of resolution do you have on this? That will be ugly for the web. They did ask for resolution.
It's 100.
Huh?
800.
I think it's 1024 by 1060.
Yep, that's not what I meant by high resolution. So, I don't know. Let's try. Not working?
Yeah, working.
Okay, good. So the more resolution you have in a demo for Visual Studio, the more real estate you will get to show the difference. That's not the best, but it will do. Okay, so let's get out of Visual Studio and bring this video here. Yep. Better? Yeah. So, I've seen that most people have seen and used Windows Phone, so I will not get into the full user scenario, but I'll show you some stuff and then point to some areas where we as developers are usually interested. Okay? So, people, my people hub here is bringing me, is bringing me all my connections, whether it's on Outlook or on Facebook or what have you, and they are measured in the same criteria. So, for example, if I look for one, my son Omar is around here. Yeah. So you see here on the top, I know Omar from Windows Live, from Outlook, from Facebook, and all the information that I get is measured up in one thing. And when it's what's new, I don't want to expose Omar too much, but what's new will bring me all his Facebook. So it's a good parent spying tool, if you will. And again, I can have groups of people, and on the home screen, what you get is the tiles, and you can pin almost anything here. So, for example, family here would bring me all the group of people in my family, which I decide in my family. When I bring what's new here, then it's all measured for all of them. Pictures is the same. So you see, it doesn't matter where I'm picking up the information. I'm looking at the people, and everything is revolving around that. Actually, one of the other things, I don't know if we get this right, but let's see. History, no, not on this phone. So if I had enough, I'm using this phone for demo, so I switched to it this morning. But if it had enough history, you would find that whether it's a Facebook chat or an SMS or a missed call or an Outlook mail or a Hotmail mail, it will all be in the same history because that's the kind of interaction I'm having with them. That's it. So we looked at Xbox Office. You have all of that, pictures from different places, and you can look at what's new, which is pictures from your different feeds, favorites, which keep rolling, and then all the albums. And here the albums are kind of nice because some of them will come from Facebook, from SkyDrive, from the phone itself. Again, they are all pictures, whether you're getting them from anywhere. So that's some of the stuff for users, and I'm sure you'll find lots of videos. I usually can go forever in the user experience, but I want to focus on some of the things that relate to us as developers. So one of them is favorite for me is the search experience. Okay, so things that I demo, if they work, of course, usually are existing on other platforms. But I want you to notice is not what is working here, but the scenario that I'm taking. Of how it works. So we all know that in most platforms you can search for products by barcode or by cover. So here in any Windows phone you have the search button, and if you click that, then you get the search screen. On the search screen you can use just the text, or you can use audio or vision or music. So I'll go for the vision here, and click on one of my favorite books here and see the barcode. I need to be a bit steady here. Yep. So it's getting the book. So now what happens is, what happens is the search now discovered that this is a book. Okay. So you have lots of stuff that is built in the phone about the book, reviews, prices, and so on. But what's important for me is this list, apps. Okay, so these are not apps that come with the phone. These are apps that developers wrote, and it connects into the kind of content that is a book, where you can have your own. And actually, if there is a demo scenario, if it works, you'll see that more in action. So this is one way of getting it, integrating your application in the platform. That scenario actually is interesting because it's not only the barcode; it actually works also with the covers. So the cover of the book. Yep, it recognizes it. Okay, that is for a book. So, for example, for a movie, let's see if I can get it right. Okay. Again, now it's a movie. Sorry, I think it got it from. Not what I want. Okay, the demo is working actually. So the apps here are apps that registered as dealing with the type movie. Okay, so now it's a different scenario where the app can take it to a different level, whether it's purchasing or trailers or where it's the cinemas or whatever it is, the application that connects with that. Maybe last one before I get into development is some music. Because it had a different way of looking at interacting, the application, how it interacts with the user scenario. So now we have seen when I search, then it gets into the list of applications that can handle that type of content. I'm waiting for my Nokia device to. So again, normal scenario, you're here, you're listening to some music. Okay, so if I stop this one, now it recognizes it and I can go to the marketplace. So here it's taking me in a different direction. But the scenario, okay, I'm getting here is I'm looking at the marketplace, and if I play the music, I'll show you another way the application can connect with that, which is actually an application which is nice. So if we play the same song here on this phone, and then I just get out and leave it hanging in the background, I know there is a lyrics application here. And that lyrics application, what it does is it will get at whatever you're listening to and then automatically go fetch the lyrics for, and it recognizes now the song and it's loading its content. I hope it gets the lyrics right. Yep. Okay. Nice? Nice?
Yep.
Yep.
Or not so nice?
Oh, very nice.
Okay. So let's. Okay, I think we've done enough user stuff. Okay, let's get quickly into four slides of the developer story, and then we get right into demos. Hopefully they will work. Okay, so in a classroom setup, the first thing you do is you get your tools. Getting your tools is very easy with Windows Phone, so basically everything is for free, okay? And it's just one install. What do you get? You get two products that deal with the Windows Phone development from different scenario, and I'll go through the demo showing you some of that. One of it is the Visual Studio. It is an Express Edition, but it does everything you need for the phone, and that is usually developers. Expression Blend, and that is the designer. So In the demo, although I come from the development background, I'll venture into the designer area and see what we can do. Then you get the different stuff like the registration tool, the deployment tool, but these two are the top important ones for me. There is also expression design if you want to use, or you can use the design tool of your choosing. So when you get into the Windows Phone, there are two schools, if you will, of development. One of them is Silverlight and the other is XNA. Both sit on top of all the services and framework benefits that you are used to from Microsoft. So wherever you're going, whether it's Windows Azure or web development or client or phone, there are some things that you will not lose in terms of what you learned, but you get more or different from different stuff. Silverlight is usually for applications, and XNA is usually for gaming. However, you can use both interchangeable, so you can do an application using XNA and you can do a game Silverlight, and actually many people do that. Or you can use them simultaneously. You can host XNA within Silverlight and so on. So it is pretty flexible here. Usually people decide what's best for them. I go for XNA when I need the 3D, the modeling, the motion, and the cameras and the stuff, or the timing scenarios and stuff like that. That is also useful in XNA. Okay. So in terms of tools, we mentioned that you have Visual Studio and Expression Blend. With that comes a phone emulator. We will have to go through that a little. And XNA Game Studio, which helps you with the packaging of the content for XNA and so on. All of that can tap into Windows Azure. So if your application is resource intensive, you have data, you have computing, you can rely on Windows Azure, and it is a pretty simple scenario of how your application can scale on the cloud using Windows Azure. If you're doing a game, you can connect into Xbox Live, lots of different services that are available for you, so you're not restricted to just the phone. And these are more on the business side, how the billing and the marketplace, but we'll cover some of that. Not to spend too much time on the slides. When you work with the Windows developer tools, you work until you're satisfied with what you have. You get your application, which is a ZAP file, .xat, and that can go on the phone for emulator. So you can test everything on the emulator, and it's pretty good for everything you can do. Actually, the emulator has features to do 3D gyro and even map. You can change the map, so lots of goodies in that emulator. However, there's nothing like testing at the end the real device, and for that, you as a developer, if you're registered, you can unlock your phone because we don't allow side loading for the phone for the users to avoid all sorts of threats and hacks and stuff. But you as a developer, through your registration, you can unlock your phone and test on the phone. Once all of that is done, it's going to the App Hub, and then consumers can take it from there. And we'll see some aspects of it. Am I going too fast, too shallow, too deep? Anybody sleep?
I have a question. How much is registration?
Good question. And for that, are you a student?
Yeah, I just graduated.
So if you're graduated, you're getting a price. Actually, I have some of these. So if you are a student, I think these are enough for everybody in the room, so we might be generous. So if you take one only and pass it to if you are a student, you actually can register for free. There is something called DreamSpark, which is a program from Microsoft for students. Okay, DreamSpark, if you're registered as a student, then you get free access to the App Hub, and that's it. Another thing, because the phone is not available in each region we have, it's not available yet in the UAE, so we have an alternative called Yalla Apps. I'll talk about it in one slide at the end, but Yalla Apps is kind of an alternate publishing where you can publish your app on Yalla Apps. What I have here is what we call Yalla Apps Golden Ticket, so if you're serious about developing a Windows Phone, you can use that for free registration. Everybody happy? Yeah. I'm not feeling energy in the room. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What does field registration stuff mean? I mean, we can't develop unless we have one of these?
No, you can download the tools for free anytime. You can start developing your applications. Until then, you don't have to, you can test on the emulator, do everything you want. Once you want to put it on the marketplace, is when you have to do a developer registration.
What if I want to see on a device, not on the marketplace?
See the device.
On a
Test on
device.
device.
Huh?
I have my own device, I want to test it on that device.
For that, you need registration. Yeah. Because for that, you will need to unlock the device so you can install the application side loading on it.
Yes.
And for that, you need to be registered. But that's now covered.
So after the 1 year, how much will it be?
Huh? It's $99
For the year.
For the year. Yes, I think that is that's the latest. For students, it's always covered by DreamSpark. Otherwise, this is at least $20.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. I don't wish to digress away from the development side of things, but Yalla apps, I understand, take a cut of gross revenues.
Yes.
And Microsoft do not swallow that. So Microsoft are claiming 30% and Yalla app's taking 20%,
Yeah.
which leaves the publisher with only 50 instead of the standard 70 that every other platform offers. I understand it's just within this region, but a lot of people feel it's kind of harsh that Microsoft don't swallow the Yalla app's 20%.
Well, I can't say it is the best scenario. So I agree with you. It's not the best scenario. The one correction I would make is it's not only here. It's in any area where there is no official App Hub registration. And actually, Yalla Apps is currently serving even Latin America and Asia Pacific. So we are trying to look hard in that. We are not Yalla Apps. So Yalla Apps is actually a partner who offered to step in to act as a proxy, and we can't enforce on them what they take. We are trying to.
I don't think that's the point. I think everybody understands that Yalla apps provide a valuable service and provide us with a short-term solution to something, and they should be remunerated for that service. I think the general feel is that the only reason they're required is because Microsoft aren't able to provide the service in these markets. So therefore, why don't Microsoft pay Yalla apps? You know, why are we paying the same to Microsoft as somebody in the US?
Yeah.
When they can't provide the service, we have to pay someone else to cover what Microsoft can't provide.
Okay, the one thing I can tell you now is we are working very hard on it. We hopefully will get good news soon, but currently I cannot really commit to anything. But we're very aware of it and working hard with Yalla Apps and with Microsoft to see what kind of logistics we have. For UAE, I think the problem will be solved very soon, as in March very soon, but I didn't say anything. You can't leave the room now. So, talking too many slides, should we see some code?
Sure.
Here? Yep. Okay. So, I think, yeah. We have, and I'll commit to continuing the full hour, but there are lots of stuff that I'm skipping here. So you will have to do, I mean, the one resource I would point you to download, to learn, to do everything is called create.msdn.com. That is the website to go, create.msdn.com. Huge amount of resources there in terms of videos, Jumpstart, and even courses that go take you through the whole development cycle. But let's maybe look at some of the stuff here. So just before I came, most of the demo was not working. And that's a good sign, because if everything is working before you come to the demo, then it will sure crash. So let's see what we have. This is not important. Okay, as I mentioned, I mean, my purpose here is not to go deep, but what I will try to do is to start through a very simple scenario, and then we try to take it up, and see where we can go. So, I mean, whenever you start any programming language, what is the first application? Hello world. So let's do a hello world. Yes?
Is there a particular reason you're using Ultimate and not Express?
No, not so. It's just that
You just
I have a little geek in me, so I'm working on other stuff too. So-
Ahmed, can I jump into this stage?
Yes.
For those that are interested, there's also Developer Tools Beta available today. That
Yeah.
goes all the way from Express up to Ultimate, and that's free for those who want to download the beta.
Yeah. So Visual Studio 2011 or 11 for now is available, as Michael said. Let me, by the way, introduce Michael. Michael is the man on the ground here, is the DPE lead for Microsoft Gulf. So his team actually runs, so whenever I mention Dream Spark or our collaboration with T-Break, Michael is driving the show. I work for the Middle East and Africa region, so I'm kind of a guest here. But yes, the one thing I have to mention to you is the Visual Studio Beta currently is focused on Windows 8. So the Windows Phone SDK will not work, and this is why I'm running this over Windows 7 machine. So, hello world. So when we start, 7.1 is the new platform, which is called Mango. When we start, can I be greedy for more screen real estate, or do you think the projector will be? Huh?
You won't see the code then, right?
This is the maximum.
No, you can be greedy.
Maximum.
Really?
Yeah.
For sure. Huh? And I'll do some enlarging for you guys so you can see with me. Okay. Hello world application. So let's start by text box. Of course, I don't do the normal hello world, so I'll just do something with it. And then I'll have a button. Okay. And in that button, I'll just type go. Let's name the text box. So it's, for example, TV input. Okay, and then have a text block. And that text block, I'll just enlarge the font a little, maybe 36 or something. And then here, what I've done, I mean, how many people used .NET Visual Studio before? Okay, so this is usually either too dull or too wow. So I have to start from it. So I'm sorry if everybody's bored already. But what I've done here is I'm taking from the user interface, the design surface. I'm taking the components and dropping them on the screen. Now, this is kind of a designer, but in a developer tool. So now if I want to write code, I will double click on the button. Double click on the button is basically doing the event handler for the button clicked event and giving me the area where I write the code. Lots of beauties with Visual Studio. So double click will automatically get me there. So it already generated the event handler, added, subscribed the event handler, and now I'm into the code. So what I'm doing here is that text block, I didn't name it, so it's text block 1, I know that. Again, what you're seeing also is TeleSense. You'll see me using that all the time, and it's a blessing. So I'll keep mentioning that. And then I want to change the text of that equals a string of hello, and then add to that whatever is in the TB input, I guess we used it, whatever is input in the text, and then any decent hello world application definitely ends with exclamation marks, right? Has to.
Yes.
So if I press F5, and at least this one should work. So. All right, so here you get this is the emulator, okay? And once I hit here, you can use the usual interface for the phone. If I press page up or page down, I guess page up, you can use it from the keyboard directly. So if I say TDC Dubai, for example, and then hit go, it says hello TDC Dubai. Yay! It's working. Not really. Come on.
So it's actually quite interesting. Is this right out of the box?
Yes, absolutely.
Everything.
We haven't
Like,
started yet, by the way, so
what-
I don't mean to brag, but we haven't started. So yes, everything I showed today is
Visual
you
Studio
install
Design.
you just install the one free install of Visual Studio and Expression, and you get everything that I have here. There are other demos when I do some stuff like augmented reality or something where you need to get more
Yeah, of course.
more stuff. But for whatever I'm showing today, you just install what you have.
So, probably a really dumb question.
Never.
Will
There's never.
will this work on Mac OS?
Sorry?
Will this work on Mac OS?
Nope. It's no. It's so.
So you're going to run this on Windows?
Yes, it has to run on Windows and it generates for the Windows Phone. There are
Bootcamp, man.
Yeah, well,
there are other tools out there that are for all platforms. So but then you have to get to the least common denominator of everything, which limits you. So let's take that up a bit. Yes. Sorry.
Excuse me, I will ask you only my program for apps, for small apps. Example, I started the developer some apps from platform 2005. But I think the application very stupid. I think that not I can example. I cannot do something advanced. Example, record the call and more things, advanced things. But only this stupid click and some collect and make very stupid. Not same JavaScript for Android for another phone. I think
So what, the one thing I didn't get 2005. What's 2000?
I started some application, but I cannot make something advanced. Example, record the caller. I need a library from another site, a library from another developer, not in the same .NET.
I'm not sure.
I think I understood, and this is kind of my question as well. Are there libraries out there, like graphics library, animation library, Quartz library, things as such that are built into this?
Yeah.
Not that we need to borrow it from another part of MSTN.
Yeah, built into it is the whole APIs and
Only
the whole
support,
.NET.
example, only support. You can small application, not a powerful application. You can do in this platform.
I think not.
I think
We'll have some examples at the
I
end.
know because
No.
all the software for Microsoft, and not for advanced program. Okay, only for example, you can make some financial apps, but you cannot do some things. Example, restart the PC. You can restart the phone. You cannot do that.
Okay, let me.
Understand me exactly. Understand about that because only the small application. I same stupid for okay, click, collect. You cannot do something experience. I think or advanced.
All right, my friend. I think there are lots of assumptions here about stupid and about not being able and stuff. So I think
this start not new because this problem before.
yes, and these are the assumptions I'm talking about. Windows Phone 7 is a different platform. I think you need to experiment with it first, see what's out there. In relation to some of the other questions, for example, there are lots of libraries you can use. Actually, we're not doing it today. You can go to Codeplex. There are lots of libraries. I use some examples for, again, augmented reality, for real. So this is stuff. If you look at the
example, I need to restart the PC. I can't
restart the PC from the phone. I'm not following where we're
yeah,
going.
exactly. It's small program.
So by the way, there is actually an application on the marketplace which were developed by the developers were from Egypt, which is a remote PC which does everything on your PC, restarted and everything from the phone.
Yeah.
There are lots of very sophisticated applications on the phone. The one thing I would tell you, just to continue with my session without affecting everybody else, is a developer can do almost anything anywhere. So if you are using even assembly on a piece of GPS device, you can do whatever you want. Now, how do you get at the ease of using these platforms to do what you need to do is a different question. What I can assure you is, for your questions or input, I can say the same about any other platform. Because at the end of the day, there is never one platform that will solve any solution in the world.
The problem, you must go to another developer, get some DLL file or any library to to support my apps. This problem, not problem if you can. I know you can do everything, but the problem you must get a new library for my small apps.
I don't think, is everybody in agreement here?
There are
Can I
some
just-
things that are protected for security reasons, like this.
Yes, as in any
a
platform.
virus where you can, an application can switch off your phone.
Yeah, and so if that is where we're heading, yes, I can talk to that. That is a
Like,
logical
for example,
discussion.
Nokia before, Nokia had this ability to make a call in their Symbian sequence, but in Qt, they're not allowed because it
They
has
disabled it.
you
Yes.
usually incur charges
Yes.
for that.
That is a valid discussion. So, for example, you have things in the APIs that are locked on the phone when you can use it to a certain extent. Okay? Again, that is the same statement for any platform, and the things that we're doing is there is always a balance when you are developing a platform between keeping every. So, for example, the scenario we just mentioned about how do I get my application on the phone. You need to go register, developer unlock, and then only you can do it on one phone. But if you want to do it with everybody else, it's through the marketplace. From that perspective, it looks very boring and very weird. But why are we doing it? Any guesses?
Security.
Keep everybody safe. So if we allow this to happen, then guess what? Viruses, hacks, and most platforms suffers from that. So, so for example, sending an SMS, yes, it is not as you expect. It is not from my application. I'll just go throwing all the SMSs. It's actually you have the selectors and choosers, and through that you can use. But then the final scenario, the user will be the one sending it. Pros and cons. Do we allow the application to keep sending SMSs in the background without the user knowing, or do we not? It's kind of trade-offs. But the one thing I will tell you is we're always taking feedback. So if you're trying if you're downloading the tools and trying the platform and going through the libraries that we have and other people are doing and providing feedback, that is definitely something we take into consideration. So for example, Windows Phone, by the way, is I think 18 months old, about. And already we have another major platform that is Mango, and another one coming, and another one that is coming soon after. So Mango, it was 500 plus added features to the phone and changes to the API. So the one thing we promise you is we're listening to the feedback. But what I cannot manage is basically if you're not trying it and giving us feedback, then we can't really work with. But I assure you, lots of sophisticated applications, and maybe we'll get a chance to see one. So let me.
While installing the applications, as a user of the application, do I give the permission to the application? Is there something like BlackBerry has?
There are certain services where you as a user need to allow it. So allowing the application to know where you're located.
Mm-hmm.
So location services. So some services you as a user will automatically get, and it actually doesn't pass certification if that is not honored in the application. Okay. So let me jump into the Hello World application and get to the stuff that will not work. I need nothing crashed today. So. How about we turn this into some Twitter stuff, okay? And get into some coding. So what I will do here is we don't need actually that text block anymore. Let's remove it. We got some errors, but that's fine. Have a list box and put that list box here. Okay, and that list box, we'll name it LB tweets. Okay, don't comment on my Twitter skills, please. So I'll have that list box, and we'll call it LB tweets. I'll just move it a bit here, and then I'll go back to my code. What I will do here is I'll try to get a web client that will go into Twitter, bring me back the tweets for a certain user, okay, which is a public Twitter API, so we can use it easily. So we don't need the text block code anymore. I'll just start here. When the button clicks, I'll create a web client. I'll call it Twitter, and that will be a new web client. which is okay. So that Twitter, one of the nice things about Visual Studio is whenever I want to, so we've seen one way of event handling. When I double clicked on the button click automatically create the event handler and the code for it, and I write whatever I want. Another way here is whenever the download from Twitter is completed, I want to subscribe to that event. And what happens when I press plus equal, which is adding the subscription, if I click tab here, then it writes the first one and it realizes this is not implemented yet, another tab, then this is why I needed more space.
Can you explain that again?
Okay, so most components in .NET or in the user interface work in the way of event handling.
Right.
Okay, so how do you handle events like what we did in the button in the background? It happened for us.
Right.
But let's say if you're doing it coding, there is an event. In this instance, it's in the button, okay, or in the web client when the web client finishes the download.
Right.
So first thing, you want a callback function that will subscribe to that event, okay, and this callback function is called the event handler.
Right.
Okay, so the plus equal that I wrote here,
Is subscription.
okay, I'm subscribing to that. So whenever that event happens, I want my function to get fired. Okay, and now the second thing is I want to write that function and write what it does. The beauty about IntelliSense here, it's not only about getting you the members of functions or what have you. It's following what you're doing and making it easier for you to do stuff. Okay?
Excuse me?
Yes.
Are you using web client to use a web service on Twitter or what is that?
Sorry.
The web client
Uh-huh.
to use a web service?
Yes, there are two parts that are interesting here. So one of them is the browser, which you can actually put a little piece of browser on your application and feed it an a URL, and it will get the resources. The web client is more of an HTTP request kind of thing, so it's not a user interface object, but you throw at it request HTTP and it gets you back.
So you are using a web service on Twitter?
Yes, yes. I am going to be using a web service. It's not, I haven't started it yet, and hopefully it will work because right before the demo it wasn't working. I think I hit my rate limit, so let's see that. So for you, actually, another line that we need to add here is that web client. Okay, I'll ask it to download string asynchronously. So this is the function I will use, and asynchronously to run on other threads. So when it comes back, the event handler catches and calls my stuff. So that thing takes a URI. So I'll construct a new URI, and that new URI is the API for Twitter. So I need to remember this correctly. Hopefully it will work. So HTTP API.twitter.com, and this is not us really. This is Twitter. So the API for Twitter is all documented, and then I'll get for statuses and user timeline. I'll take the XML format. You can choose whatever format from Twitter, and then I'll have the screen name of the user I want equal. Let's test that first. So I'll put my Twitter, which is Ahmed_Adel, and if I click here, control, and then do this, what Visual Studio will do is open for me. So what you're seeing here is I'm calling the API Twitter. I'm asking it to give me in XML format all the statuses for Ahmed Adel, which is now hard-coded. And this is the XML that I will have to go through in the application to get these messages. It has a certain tags. It has certain tags which we will need to parse. And it will not take long because we have lots of libraries that help us to decipher all of that. We don't really need to go through it, but I'll keep it in the background for reference. So I'll actually remove my name because we need that to be a variable, and I'll pick that up from what the text TV, I think I called it TV input. Okay, and then close that one. Everything clear on this line?
Why have you done a plus equal there as well?
Sorry, there is. And thank you. Although there was, it was detecting an error, so we're good here. I actually need a couple of these. Right? So what we're doing, whenever the button is clicked, go asynchronously, retrieve for me all the tweets that are related to the screen name or whatever was here, and then when it gets back, it will call this function. Okay? So what do I do in this function? Not now, I'm sorry. What do we do in this function? We need to add some code. So what I am getting in the background here is an XML feed, and that XML feed has statuses, and each status has lots of data. So I need just a few fields from that. What I will pick up here is the image and the name and the tweet itself. That's all I need from that. So I'll create a little class for that, and also look at what Visual Studio, how Visual Studio is helping me here. So
That's
let's
one
add-
question, please.
Yeah,
before-
please go ahead.
Initially, what you're doing is just starting the connection, right? The download completed, or what is it called? So you're just initiating the connection, and then after that, you're doing the sort of synchronizing in the background.
Yes. So asynchronously, I started. Then the callback function, I need to decipher whatever is coming back. That's
No,
what I-
before the asynchronous, you're just starting the connection with Twitter. That's
Yes,
it.
yes.
That's it.
I'm subscribing and creating the
Right.
web. Okay, so I'll create a class called the Twitter item. And another thing here, whenever you're working in Visual Studio and you need to create a new property, you know how to, you declare the property and then do the set and do the get. Another stuff here that is, if it's a property, there is a code snippet here automatically for it. And it does all that for you. So all I have to do here, I'll name my stuff, which is image source. Okay, and I'll go here and I'll do another property. I'll do username and another one, which is the message itself. Okay. One thing I did on purpose here is I declared the wrong types. So basically, if you want the URL or the username or the message itself, it's usually string. It's text, not integer. So, but I actually did that on purpose to show you something nice in Visual Studio, which is you can edit vertically actually. So if you press Alt with that, and you can highlight all of that and then do string, which is usually nice if you have lots of fields and you wanna. Everybody knew that. Use. It's the little things. So, getting back here. Now what do I want to do? I want to decipher all of this and get it into those little Twitter objects, Twitter item objects. And for that I will use LINQ, L-I-N-Q, language integrated query. Everybody knows about it. So LINQ is a way to do kind of close to SQL, select some stuff on whatever, if it's a database or if it's an XML or what have you. So let me quickly do that. For that we need a new reference. So here is another example. I don't know if it helps or not, but lots of stuff is already built into Visual Studio and the .NET framework. So, but it's not automatically included. You can add this library out of the box. So if I want to parse all the XML I want and do select queries on it, all I have to do is get in here and choose the XML link. Okay. If I have that, and then I'll go in using statement, and then it's system.xml.link. Okay. Now I have the services of this library for me, and it can decipher all the things that we saw. So here I will say what I'll just do a dumb error checking just in case. If e.error is not null, then I'll do the famous error handling we all do, which is return. Not the most gracious error handling, but it will do for now. So what do we do here? All I want to do is to get all that XML. So we have an X element. Okay, that will be my XML tweets. And that will be the result of parsing the whole e.result. So let me explain that, or are we all okay? Here, this is the callback function. So the event has fired that it has finished everything, and here I have my event coming back with all the XML feed. So it's sending me the arguments, which is E, and I'm getting the result out of that, which is the whole XML feed in one big string. And that, I'm using the X element to parse it and decipher it for me, so I don't have to go through it and do lots of stuff. Here, I'll go here and have, let's see, list box. So we have a list box that we need to upload these guys in, and I think I named it LB tweets. So for that list box, the item's source, I will list it as from, and this is the link you're kicking in. So from tweet in XML tweets dot descendants. Okay. What I'm doing here is every descendant of the tree of XML tweets that has a status, so every tweet, okay, I'm going through it and creating select new object that will take whatever is in that tweet and create an object from. So the new, of course, will be a Twitter item, okay, and that Twitter item, I'm sorry about that. That Twitter item will take its resources. So let's username, okay, equal. Now I'm getting here a tweet, so that tweet dot element of here. What I'm doing is I'm going through every one of these statuses, and I want to take first the text, which is the actual tweet. Okay, and I want to go to the user and have the screen name, and then the user again and have the profile image URL. And this way I can get from that the image, the username, and the text. Okay, so here we're taking the element user, okay, and then within that the element screen name and putting it in the username. So user, and that gets me another XML element, and I'll put there the screen name. Okay. Again, image source. Oh, sorry. I need to get the value of that at the end. Image source equal. I'll do this quickly and then we get into some fun stuff, because this is usually the most boring part. Element, and then user dot element, and I need to get the image. So profile image URL. Okay, and the last one I want to get is the message, and that's the tweet itself, equals tweet dot element, and that's, I think its tag was text. Okay.
So for image source, do you need to pick up the value?
Sorry.
Image source.
Yep. I always forget that. Thank you.
Don't you need an else?
Sorry?
Don't you need an else?
Sorry, I'm not.
You have the F. Don't you need an else?
So this is
I should, but it's a demo, so I'm skipping. Actually, the error handling should be much better than this, but. Okay. So should this work? The answer is no. It should work, but it will not appear pretty. So let's see what happens here. So if I write Twitter name here, okay, press go. We got,
Sorry, you can post something to my Twitter.
yeah. I'll not do it now, but I'll show you something
Maybe
better.
you can example, see maybe you can submit example, write anything and submit to my page.
No. It's authenticated. It's
Yeah,
authenticated.
this is problem I think that because I use Twitter's to some library to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me bear with me, because at the end of this we will show you a demo of something very nice related to that. Okay. So what happened here is I got the result out of Twitter. I put them in objects, everything, but I didn't cater for that in the interface. And this is a part where I leave this and I move into Expression Blend to show you how we can make stuff a little bit prettier, if you will. Okay? So now that I know this is working, I'll go for this. Here is another nice thing. Usually when we work in any development project, there is a developer and there is a designer, or at least a group and a group. And usually when they work together in different paradigms, they either have images and they slice them and then the developer gets them messed up and stuff like that. Here it's a different story because they both work on their different tools, but they are working on the same project. So whatever anybody does, the other one sees. So I can go and open that same project and open it in Expression Blend. Okay. Again, that is working in the free tools that you get from download. And if I open that, maybe I usually do this on a couple of times, but I'll do it only once to make it working right away. Hopefully, if I get it right. So let's start one by one. Okay. First, I'll have the layout root, which is everything around. I'll do some nice background. So we are in Dubai, so it's fitting that we have Burj Khalifa as the background of the application. Now it's looking a bit better. And then when we go into LB tweets is our list box, you see the developer gave a name for the list box. He named it LB tweets. Now the designer is looking at the same and they can't mess it up. So if LB tweets, what I need to do with it, usually we can do this through code, which is called XAML, the markup language. But what I'll be doing here is I'll be using Blend. What I want to do is every list box item has a template that decides how this one renders in the list box. So what I'll do is I'll take this and decide what the item template looks like. I can go to that level in Blend. So what I'll do here is I'll edit, generated template, and then create an empty template for the list box. Okay. This will create a new data template. All of what I'm doing, you can do it in code in XAML, but I'm just using the interface. Usually the list box has the item template as one grid. I'll change that into a stack panel. The stack panel is usually the ones that all the children items will line them up. I'll have that as horizontal, and maybe I'll have it like a 300 width or something. And then I want to add two things, the image and then the name of the Twitterer and then the tweet itself. So here I'll add another component which is called the image. Okay, and then have that line up here. That image, I'll have it just maybe, I think 73 by 73 is the Twitter specs. And then I'll have another stack panel for the text. So I'll add here from this one another stack panel. That one will be vertical. We had the first 300, and so it's like 230, for example. And then here I'll have two text blocks, one for the Twitterer name and one for the tweet itself. So this is the text block, and then 1, 2. Okay. I'll not even play. I mean, we can maybe trim them a little. So you can do all the design work, but I'm not really a designer, so I wouldn't venture in that. I'll just make it smaller so we can fit more tweet maybe. And then this one, let's do it as 12. Okay. Another nice thing you can do here is what's called data binding. So you can do that in XAML, but actually you can do it also in Blend in a simple way. You're okay? Yeah. In the image, for example, what is the image source? I can decide the source that will be for every item in the list box, or I can press this little button here and have the data binding. Out of the data context, which is item source for this list box, I can just have the image source that's coming from the object. What is happening here, Blend will create a data store in the back and get all the objects in and do all the binding for me. And we will see that in a little while. Okay, so that is the image source. I'll have this text block and do the same. So the text of it will be coming from a data binding as well in the data context, and having here, I think this should be the username. And this last text block will be data bound, data context, and it will be the tweet itself. I think it was called message. And I think this should be it. So instead of doing it all one shot, let's close this one. Now the designer has worked on templating the list items and everything. Let's see. Okay, so I can save this one. Okay, it happens. Now, Visual Studio has realized that the designer opened an expression blend, changed something, so it needs to reload. That's what it's telling me now, and it's closed anything. If we open, as a developer, if I open now, I see everything that the designer did. Okay, you see all the changes. Now let's see if the trick works. Okay, so that's my Twitter name. Please work. Please work. Yay! It's working. So, what do you think?
Good.
Nice. All right. Have we gone over time?
That's fair. A little bit more, sorry.
So they are the organizers, I guess. You. Is it boring enough yet, or we can talk about? I mean, we can do maybe something more to do it to make it more fancy, or we can talk about the marketplace, or both. What do you think votes?
Marketplace.
Marketplace. Okay, let's do it.